Welcome.
In today's video, I want to get personal.
Really?
And also talk about a pretty deep but important topic. Let me start by asking you this. Has working in medicine been what you thought it was going to be? Because for me, the answer is an emphatic no. In fact, for a good part of my career, I graduated PA school in 2015. Obviously went back to school as an older adult. I've had many times where I felt like just a complete failure. And you may be saying to yourself, well, maybe you are a failure. But let me give you a little bit of history about myself and help you understand where I'm coming from. I was in gifted classes when I was younger growing up. I went to college out of high school, but had to pay my own way, and unfortunately finances prevented me from being able to finish. Life happened and I started doing several jobs and eventually found a career. So then I went back to school. I was at a university in an undergrad honors program. I graduated with a 4.0 GPA. Then I applied to PA school. I got into 2 of the 3 programs that I applied to in my very first round. And then in PA school, I did fairly well and had a decently high GPA. Besides my scholastic achievements in any of the jobs that I had before going back to school, I often got promoted, got raises regularly, and was thought of as the go-to person in many of the jobs that I had had because I knew so much about what I was doing. Then I became a PA. Let's just say my first 2 jobs out of school did not go exactly as planned. My first job, my compensation plan was changed and reduced some. And then in my second job, they basically were letting me know that I probably wasn't the right fit for their organization. So what happened? How did someone who did so well in school and in previous jobs fare so badly at these jobs? What was happening? Well, it wasn't the care that I gave. It wasn't my practice of medicine. I was sound in that. I did a good job. Patients liked me. Fellow colleagues and other people I worked with generally liked me. Well, what it came down to was basically that I just wasn't fast enough. I could not see patients at a pace that satisfied those employers. So being gun shy from that, I ended up working locums because honestly, I thought, well, maybe I'll just work short assignments and I'll leave before they can figure out what a failure I am. And I had that mindset for a while and was pretty nervous about working in medicine. But then I gained some experience and I got better and I did get faster, but I still can't see a ton of patients. In family practice, I could do up to 20 if I have to, but 16 or 17 is really where my daily limit is. And of course, today, with the numbers that we're pushed to see, many practices don't find that acceptable. So I've thought about this a lot and trying to decide if I really am a failure or not. The first thing I found out is that I'm not alone. There's lots of other providers that I've talked to and that I've seen post in forums and social media posts that are struggling with some of the same things, that are having difficulties with getting through the number of patients that they're being pushed to see, or who are charting till the wee hours of the morning just to keep up with work. But then I see other providers who post responses basically shaming that person and saying, oh, you should be able to see, I see 30 patients a day, or I see however many patients a day, and pretty much acting like there's something wrong with those providers. But what I'm seeing and what I'm thinking about is that these are smart people. These are people that have gone through really difficult programs, had a lot of schooling, and you can tell by their posts that they're intelligent and they are trying to figure out what the problem is, and I see them struggling. And it's so hard to think about how frustrating it is for these people who have spent so much time in schooling, have worked so hard, and have invested so much. They're so deep in student loan debt to be at this point where they are just at their wits' end in their career. So what is the conclusion of that? Are those people and are we all failures? Are we just not good enough to hack it in medicine? In my opinion, I would say no, we're not failures. I don't think that we're the ones failing. I think that the medical system is failing providers. In my experiences in the offices I've worked in, it doesn't matter if you have 1 year experience or 10 years experience. You are expected to just see as many people as they put on your schedule, and you're supposed to handle whatever walks in the door. And you're supposed to do it while still staying on time, keeping patients happy by not being late for their appointments, getting everybody in, getting all your charting done in a certain amount of time, making sure all that your billing is correct, even though you may have never been taught about billing. Answer patients on the patient portals in a timely manner, have to do all kinds of paperwork, medicine refills, all of the things that you have to do as a provider. And no matter how unreasonable the workload may be, you're just expected to get it done, because medicine is a business and it really is all about the numbers. Unfortunately, that way of practicing medicine is so contrary to how so many of us want to be practicing medicine. I think about a video by ZDogg, Dr. Zubin, if you're familiar with him, has a video where he talks about burnout in medicine and how he really does agree that it should be called moral injury and how we are suffering those moral injuries every day. I highly suggest you watch that video if you haven't. I'll put a link to his video down below in the description. Working in medicine can be so bad and so hard for people that it can cause their personalities to change. It can lead them into depression. And sadly, it also leads some people to take their own lives just to be able to get out of all of the stress and pressure. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, I don't like it, but it's really not affecting me that much. But I would ask you, are you way more cynical and negative than you've ever used to be? Have you lost your sense of humor? Are you exhausted all the time and dread going into work? Are you angry, short-tempered? Are you gaining weight, having trouble sleeping? Or are you just becoming a person that you don't really like? Unfortunately, all these things are commonly experienced by people who work in medicine. Of course, how working in medicine affects people has so many variables. That's why I would hope as providers that people would not be out there judging other providers who are struggling. Each person come into medicine with their own personalities, their own different mindsets and beliefs, their own culture, their own experiences. And then when they get into studying medicine, people study at different programs. Some are better programs than others. Some prepare the providers more than others. Some people have way better rotations and have preceptors that really want to teach them things, while others may not. And then where you land as your first job when you come out of school can make a big difference as well. So it's not just the person and their abilities. There's so many different factors that can affect how well a provider does in medicine. And by the way, I want to quickly mention that I know medicine is frustrating for all kinds of people who work in medicine, not just medical providers. So it's no surprise to find that in a 2021 poll by the Washington Post and the Kaiser Family Foundation that 3 out of 10 medical professionals are actually thinking about leaving the profession. And more than half say they're burned out. 6 out of 10 professionals say that the pandemic has been detrimental to their mental health. But even more alarming than that are the statistics on physician suicide. According to findings presented at the 2018 American Psychiatric Association annual meeting, 1 physician dies by suicide every day in the U.S. In fact, medicine overall has the highest suicide rate of any profession, and that rate is more than twice as high as the general public. Another disturbing fact is that unlike the general population, female physicians are just as likely as their male counterparts to succeed in dying by suicide. Pretty sobering facts, and while those studies focus on physicians, it pretty much can extend to most medical professionals. PAs and NPs are out there pretty much doing the same job as physicians and having most of the same stressors. And to make these matters worse, we all have medical licenses that we're trying to protect, and a lot of people feel like they can't come forward and confess the problems that they're having, the struggles they're having, and reach out for any kind of meaningful help. And that's really sad that in a profession where we take care of other people, we can't even take care of our own. As I kind of mentioned earlier, there is this attitude that runs through medicine that you should just be thrown out there, sink or swim. That's how it was done in the old days. Well, I venture to say that a lot of people who practice medicine in the old days would struggle starting out practicing in medicine today. It's a whole different ballgame, but there's still that attitude that you should just suck it up, and that those who can't make it are just weak and aren't good providers. I don't believe that that really holds true. I also see out there the mentality that people feel is unethical or immoral for people who are trained in medicine to step out of medicine and go do something else. I understand those feelings, especially, in the pandemic, but I really don't feel that there should be that judgment. I think each person needs to decide for themselves. I mean, this is somebody's life that we're talking about. If they're miserable in medicine, should they stay working in medicine? I mean, they're probably more likely to make more mistakes, likely to bring down the whole attitude of the team, or they may even feel like they have no choice but to take their own life. I don't think that that's what any of us want for our fellow providers. So if you are one of those providers who is really struggling, and if you've been thinking about possibly taking your own life, I really wish that you would reconsider. I hope that you would understand how precious your life is and that you would reach out and get help. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention has an entire page on their website devoted just to healthcare professionals. There's links to tons of different resources and things available to help you from people who understand the struggles that you're going through. I'll put that link down below. If you're someone who would rather talk to somebody on the phone, or if you are right this moment having some suicidal thoughts, please reach out to the hotline and talk to somebody directly. The number is 1-800-273-8255. Or you can text TALK to 741-741. I would like to encourage all of us to check in with our colleagues. Just a quick, hey, how are you doing? How are you handling the pandemic? All of us in the world are going through some pretty unique and strange times, but people in medicine, especially those who are working with COVID patients, have some special challenges, some things they've never had to deal with before. People who work in hospital medicine and critical care, they're seeing way more death and suffering than they've ever seen in the past. That takes its toll. So let's be supportive of each other. Let's reach out and be there for each other. Check in with each other. We're trained to look for the signs of, depression and suicide in other people. Let's put our training to work and take care of each other. Now, don't get me wrong, medicine isn't all doom and gloom. I understand that. There's lots of providers who really love their job, despite all the frustrations and the things they have to deal with. They really can't imagine doing anything else. And that makes me so incredibly happy, and it does give me hope for the future of medicine. But if you are somebody who is not enjoying working in medicine and you're thinking about leaving but you can't decide, or maybe you want to try transitioning to a different specialty to see if you're a better fit somewhere else, I'd hope that you'd subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell, because I will be making videos about that, and hopefully you can find some information that can help you move forward in your career. So as always, I wish everyone the best. I hope you all stay sane out there, and until next time, bye.